Hey guys, this is Jim, KN4YCD, and you're watching FEP Labs Radio. Thanks for stopping by. Connectors. Lots of connectors. We got cables. We got connectors. We've got N connectors. We've got PL259s. We've got BNCs. We've got SMAs. We've got SO239s, PL259s, male and female connectors of all sorts. Unmade connectors. Connectors to be made. We're going to move those out of the way. And all sorts of adapters. What in the heck are we doing today? Well, what I want to look at and what I'm going to show you guys today is what effect connectors have on your signal, the output signal, and what it's going to look like as we use adapters on our feed lines, for example. And there's various cases that we can do with this, but we're going to stick straight up with feed lines. So I'm going to get a couple things set up here off camera, and I'll be right back, and then we're going to talk about connectors and cables and how they affect your signal. Stick around. So now that I've moved all of our connectors out of the way, I want to show you what we're going to do. You'll see here on the screen, right down here on the data line, we have our current return loss of 14.7-ish dB and an SWR of 1.4, and those numbers are right here. The frequency and the return loss, the SWR is down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook up this thing, this monster, ridiculous adapter. Is this something you're going to use in real life? No. You might stick it in your pocket if you're in a bad neighborhood to keep from getting mugged in an emergency, but that's about the only useful function for this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out this connector right here, which is an N to BNC because that's the cable I have going to the antenna outside. And we're going to compare those values right there with the values we get when we install, oh Lord, 1, 2, I don't know, 8 or 10 adapters of every kind. So let's do it. I'm going to disconnect the cable. We're going to put this beast in place. I'm being careful with this thing because that's a lot of mechanical pressure on this. I'd like to not break the SWR bridge. And let's hook that cable back up there. All right. And let's take a look at our SWR and our return loss. Look at that. 14.4 return loss, 1.4 SWR. Didn't really change. There's our marker. Our purple line is our reference line. The yellow line is SWR and the green line is return loss. And you can see that the values didn't really change significantly at all with this giant adapter on it. So, you know, like I said, this is not anything you're ever going to use in real life. I mean, this is ridiculous. Typically, the most I've ever used is maybe 3, and that's when I have a PL259 cable and I need to hook up an SMA or an N connector to get something to this or the oscilloscope, for example. So I have a BNC connector on one end and I need to transmute it, transmogrify it to an N connector, or I may need to go 2 or 3 connectors to get to an SMA from a BNC or a PL259. And that's something you do typically with a tiny SA or a nano VNA, which both have SMA. If you're using it, excuse my reach, if you're using it for a scanner antenna, for example, that's an SMA, and I may not have an antenna that I want to hook to it that has an SMA, so I'm going to have to use an adapter or 2 to make that change. But that's it. This is an unrealistic, out-of-control test. But the whole point of this was to show that it really makes almost no difference. Almost no difference at all. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Please give me a thumbs up if you would. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel in the doodly-doo below, and there's a doodly-doo down here in the corner. Also, make sure you ring the bell so you're notified whenever I post any new content. Y'all, I appreciate it. 73.